I wanted to ask you about censorship in all this, because people listening might think, well, what do I know about the science or analyzing these videos or what satellite footage is capable of doing? But when people speculate about some big epic possibility, and then there's a little bit of censorship involved, that sends up a red flag to me, because people are allowed to speculate about all sorts of silly things online. But it seems like the ban hammer comes down when you're on the right track. So talk to us about this investigation, the community that's been on it, and any elements of censorship along the way, or banning, or anything that's happened.
Yeah, and first I want to address something else that you just mentioned, and something I forgot, is that in the 2019 Trump satellite leak, you can see a huge shadow in that image. There's no large, visible, or obvious shadows in our imagery and video, which would indicate that potentially, again, it's at night. And to your point that you just mentioned in terms of how unusual it looks as well, a lot of people, when they first saw the satellite video, they thought they were looking up. We didn't even have the basis to understand they're looking down from outer space on that. So it took a lot for us to understand that what we're looking at here is authentic. Now, with respect to the disinformation censorship campaigns that are out there, the thing that people need to know and understand are two terms: manufactured consensus and social contagion. Especially on sites like Reddit, people do not read past the headline or past the top comments that are available. The government knows this. And this is how they're able to manipulate what people think very easily. In fact, they'll turn people that they once loved into people that they hate very quickly and very easily. A prominent example would probably be Elon Musk, who was probably Reddit's darling for a very long time. And they've been able to convince him that he's the worst person on the planet just through social contagion and manufactured consensus. So the way that they do this is pretty simple. You make sure that the articles that you want get up to the top, and that the comments that are at the top of those are the things that you want people to read. And anything that goes against that grain simply gets deleted, censored, or removed. By doing that, you can get people to believe that that's the case, because people want to believe what everybody else believes. That we are very social beings, and we don't necessarily like conflict. We believe that whatever everybody else is saying is true. Not just that, you have to repeat it over and over and over again. That's how you get people to believe the lie. So it comes down to narrative control. And this is part of the reason why they banned our subreddit, is that if you have a competing subreddit that is telling people the truth, contrary to the message that you want to be repeating and putting out there, it makes it very difficult for those people to believe in that social contagion that's spreading. They banned our subreddit with no explanation. They said moderator code of conduct was violated. I submitted an appeal. They didn't respond to it for almost 10 days. They actually said that, taking a while. Then they just sent me this generated response that told me to fill out something else that was impossible to use for an appeal. So then I submitted another request. And then within 24 hours, I got a message back saying, your appeal's been denied. We can't tell you why. So never once have I gotten any explanation for any type of violation that we've done. The whole point of that was to counter the narratives that were out there and make sure that the people that are spreading those false narratives were unable to do so on our forum. They could do so on any other forum they want, which we have no problem with. And that's part of the reason, too, why on Twitter, people are so upset when I block them, because they know that I'm doing the exact opposite of what they want, which is they want to be able to spread their message unabated while not allowing me to spread my message. In fact, I'm banned from the only subreddit that's out there about MH370, despite the fact that I'm the #1 content creator for them. And part of that reason, again, is narrative control. If somebody's out there sending the truth, you can't do anything about it. In fact, they banned anyone who would try to link to my content either, and banned that content from being out there. So now what one enterprising smart mind is doing is they're just taking the content and they're reposting it as their own content, which normally you would think would be some type of copyright violation, but I have no problem against it. As long as we're getting that information out there, I hope that person continues to do that. Mm-hmm. So this is really how that works. And I think that if you listen to Congressman Burchett's interview with Sean Ryan recently, he has a pretty good mind for this type of thing as well and how it's operating. In my mind, Reddit's the #1 source of misinformation on the entire planet right now. Love it or hate it from the Twitter perspective, they have not banned us, or X Corporation. Do Elon Musk a favor there. They have not banned us. They may have been adhering to certain government requests to deboost my content. I'm almost 100% certain that they've been doing that. But I'm not concerned about that. As long as the message is out there, we're in it for the long haul. I'm not concerned about them temporarily deboosting my content. The more and more people that follow, the more and more people that see the evidence, the more pressure it will put on them to not censor us and not censor the content. As a matter of fact, this happened yesterday on Reddit, where there's been a couple news articles now, and it's becoming very difficult for them to try to censor this content without the huge amount of backlash of people that realize what they're doing. And so there was an article that I had spent a couple hours replying to comments on it a couple days ago, answering people's questions that I feel is very important to establish the credibility and authenticity of this information. And they removed it. And they removed it for being quote unquote off topic on the UFOs subreddit. Versus a situation where we're talking about disclosure and orbs coming around is somehow off topic for them. And then they brought it back the next morning. And I think that the reason why they brought it back is the huge amount of backlash they most likely faced for this really unexplainable censorship, other than the fact that it's narrative control.
Mm-hmm. On that subject of narrative control, people are looking at the same footage and speculating about it in these groups, in these communities. What is the narrative they're trying to put out there? What are the aspects that are different? Why is your narrative suppressed? And what are they trying to fill it in with in terms of the disinformation?
Yeah, so you kind of nailed it, right? And the idea isn't that necessarily everybody out there is an operative. The idea is that if you fill the space with a bunch of junk, a bunch of stuff that doesn't make logical sense, you confuse people. And I believe that this is what they do from the UAP disclosure movement in general. Is you put a bunch of fake stuff out there, you promote the fake stuff, right? And you push it to the top. And now people think that everything must be fake, or they can't tell what the difference is. In fact, I have people that are very smart, intelligent people that just simply can't believe anything's real anymore. And that's what they want. What they want to convince you is that you can't prove anything one way or another. And that's not how the world works at all. You can prove things to be real. You can prove a story to be accurate. And this is why I decided that I would report on this and build the evidence so high that it's undeniable, that no other story could possibly make sense. And that's what I believe we're at that point right now. Whereas that this is the only story that comprehensively fits with the most amount of evidence that's out there, including all the official narratives. And we haven't really touched on this, but this idea that this plane crashed into the South Indian Ocean is a complete and utter fabrication. There were no witnesses out there, despite the fact that it's an active shipping route. The 777 crashing into the ocean cannot not leave a debris field, which is why people like Florence Changi, who's a very smart woman, realized that something must be wrong here. There were at least 3 acoustic systems that would have heard the plane crash into the ocean that didn't. The Diego Garcia one, Western Australia has one, as well as the SOSA system, which heard the Titan sub pop, and they lied about it for 5 days while there's oxygen counters going down and everyone's arguing how much oxygen these people have left. It goes to show you that this plane couldn't have crashed in the South Indian Ocean. And again, the debris, the little bits of debris they found, is consistent with this fire emergency event that we found, or the potential idea that there was another equivalent 777 where they have simply misidentified that debris as being part of MH370. The flaperon, and specifically, was not connected with a unique serial number. People don't realize this. The unique serial plate was missing off this flaperon. You can find a couple articles about that's what delayed the identification of it to MH370.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think they'd find something on the surface. You got about 250 bodies. You got luggage of all those people. Nothing.
All that would have floated, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like, and as I mentioned, even on a controlled descent, this plane's going to break apart. And we've shown that there's satellites everywhere that would have been able to see it as well. Not only that, there was actually a quote from, I don't have the source right on me, where a military officer basically said that they used the Cyber system to help solve the mystery of MH370. That's very unusual because the mystery didn't get solved. So what do they mean exactly there? Are they talking about our videos, or are they talking about something else?
Yeah, that is interesting. So is there any possibility that Regicide Anon will be identified? Because I understand there is a video from someone called the Leto Files, and they say that they've identified Regicide Anon. I believe they say it's Edward C. Lynn, who you think these are 2 different people, yet you also agree that Edward C. Lynn might be the leaker, but Regicide Anon is different. The channel's gone. I heard that he was arguing on some forums about the authenticity of the footage. even just the fact that the channel's gone is provocative to me. But do we know if we're ever going to be able to identify this guy?
Yeah, so I don't think Regicide Anon is Edward C. Lynn. I don't think it's Agent 370 either. They have other videos that they had posted that were not at all related to MH370 prior to this, which would indicate that they are just a random YouTube account. And again, their quality of their video was lower quality than the ones that come out later on, which you cannot create a higher quality video from a lower quality video. So this indicates that they were all getting their things from a third-party source. Now, identifying that person may be difficult. I absolutely do not want to be doxing people in general. And I think that the attempts that have been out there to try to do so are extremely dubious. And I do not encourage people to try to say that, oh, Regicide, it rhymes with this particular name, therefore it has to be this particular person. That's not how this works at all. And the thing about this is if this person wanted to be found and national and was available for us to find, I feel like they would have come out or they would have approached me by now. So the fact that they haven't, to me, indicates that they're could be in distress to some degree. If it's not an American citizen that posted that, they may not be easy to find like Edward C. Lynn was. American citizens, I've found, unless it's in a situation where it is we're under military control, you cannot hide these types of charges from the public. And that's why I realized that we must be able to find Edward C. Lynn. But if this is somebody else who's not an American citizen, then this person can get silenced much easier than somebody who is one. So I imagine we probably will never find out who that real person is, but I would like to find out. And if they are listening, please reach out to me, because that could be the missing link in terms of corroborating this video, these videos fully.
Yeah, I would just love to know how it got to them. But I've also found that if you search Regicide Anon on YouTube, you do get brought to a couple of accounts that have incorporated this footage into little mini documentaries throughout the years that are all kind of in Spanish. And my understanding is that just the Spanish community, Mexican community has an interest in UFOs. It's a popular subject in that culture. So maybe there's nothing crazy about that. Maybe they just saw the original video too. But I'm sure you've noticed this, that throughout the years, even though it wasn't really blowing up and it wasn't big to an American audience, there were some people noticing. Can you believe it, people? A video clip and a peek into how that sweet THC sausage is made. For some people, I'm sure it's nice to put a face to the name, so I started making clips that are a little more YouTube friendly than the full show tends to be. Get the full show on any podcasting platform. I prefer to keep it audio only, so we have a more decentralized distribution for a controversial show, and also so I can edit out the ums and ahs and barking dogs and all the things that happen when a person records in their home environment. And then if you really like the show, you can sign up for THC Plus, and instead of 1 hour interviews, you get the full 2-hour interview for just $8. I think that's a better deal, more of a win-win than asking you to support the show by booking a therapy session or buying generic Viagra. It's getting weird out there, folks. So just go to the highersidechats.com or click the link at the top of any set of show notes, and all your wildest dreams will come true. All right? All right. The Higherside Chat Show. Greg Carwood and Company.